Hello, my name is Stephen Ridge, and today I will be presenting to you what makes Ysaye Sonata No. 2, Movement 3's Opus 27 so great. Allow me to play a little snippet of the beginning for you. Thank you. All right, so I'm not sure what you may have heard here. Maybe it was something reminiscent of a music box. I think so. I think that this sounds very much like something. It draws you out. It's melancholy, but at the same time, it's joyful. The third movement of this is what is referred to as Dance of the Spirits or the Shades, whichever you prefer. So, just a little bit of context for you. Ysaye was a famous Belgian violinist towards the end of the Romantic era into the contemporary era. He was friends with people such as Franck and Debussy. As a matter of fact, they dedicated many pieces to Ysaye. The Franck Sonata was dedicated to Ysaye, as was Debussy's String Quartet. So he made it his mission after hearing Szigeti perform an amazing rendition of Bach's unaccompanied solo sonatas and partitas for the violin. After seeing a live performance for that, he was inspired to write his own 6 sonatas in a Bachian-like form, but at the same time tailored to each virtuoso and friend that he has made and heard over the years. In this instance, he dedicated it to a violinist named Jacques Thibault. Now, Thibault was not a very well-known violinist, but he was very accomplished, very well accomplished. And this is titled the Obsession Sonata for, well, a few perspective-like reasons we don't actually know, because Ysaye did not really say what the obsession, why it was nicknamed the Obsession. But one can be sure that most people recognize the beginning of this. Right? That's from Bach's Partita No. 2 for violin, the Prelude. And Jacques Thibault, according to many sources, would actually warm up with this exact partita. Now, I'm not exactly here to talk about the first movement, but that is how the first movement begins. It only begins with a quote. And then Ysaye's answer. And then again. From the second partita, and then he goes on to create a theme that we actually all know, called the Dies Irae theme. Now, the Dies Irae theme was invented by Thomas Cheleno in 1256. This is commonly used throughout requiems and masses, and it became very, very popular in the Romantic era to the early Contemporary era. It was incredibly appealing. It was used in movies. It was used in various pieces. Mozart actually used it in his Requiem. You might have to spot it sometime. It takes a lot of close listening. But here, Ysaye makes it very obvious. Let's see if you can hear it in the beginning again. Did you hear that? Here. The actual theme is... Alright, he makes it obvious throughout the movements. In the first movement, finally he actually gets to, after a lot of Bach-like material, here. In the second movement, at the end of the Melancholia, there is actually a marking. Very, very interesting. Actually looks like this right here at the bottom. This does not look like normal music notation. That's because this was in fact writing back when Masses and Gregorian chant had existed. So this was a literal transformation into this theme. All right, so you have this theme combined with a sense of major, which Dies Irae in Latin means the day of wrath, or the death theme, as people often refer it. Yet it's in major? What's that about? It's spirits coming back to life. Here's the second half of the theme. Here's the response to the question with another question. Ooh, question. And then resolve. And this is the main theme. And then there's variations on it. There are 6 different variations, actually. And the first one that you're going to hear, which I'll do short demonstrations, but the first theme is, like, they have 6 ensuing character variations based on this theme. The first is a modal folk song. And very ghostly-like, he specifically marks no vibrato. Very modal and singular, and then expressivo. A layer is added. There's the question, and here's the answer. Now, the second variation is actually a musette. It's a different type of dance now. We have a peasant dance with a droning bass that Bach actually sometimes referenced in his compositions. So he's still paying a homage to Bach. The main theme is this of the musette. Did we just hear the death theme just now? Not there. Ah, it's just in a different rhythmic form. Now, this seems kind of boring, just a little bit. Maybe we'll add something to it. Maybe we'll add something like a bass, maybe a drone. It's so simple. He just adds a G drone for support and sounds more folk-tuney. He's building up. Hear it again. Ooh, that's interesting. And then it fades out into nothing. But look at this. Listen to this. Those notes in particular, D, but we have D, E flat, C, B going down. You have what sounds like a Shostakovich quote. That was Shostakovich's signature in many of his compositions, particularly his string quartets. Maybe he was paying homage to Shostakovich. I guess we don't know, but it could be. So, then we have the third invention, which is a Bachian standard 2-part invention that you would hear in most of his compositions. And he goes on and on and on with that one. But what's interesting about that is just it's another homage to Bach. He had an obsession with Bach, and at the same time an obsession with death, kind of a yearning for death. Again, these are all dances. Then we have the fourth dance, which is very slithery with very weird melodic tendrils, dropping down the notes of the chant, actually. So you have this obligato-like line, while you actually have the main line down below. Doesn't that sound very slithery and creepy? There's a line on the upper. So that one, every time he tries to hide the theme somehow. And then you have the fifth variation, which is just a very spidery dance that goes right up into the stratosphere. He wants this very simple at the tip, but just not very lively at all. This is kind of very improvisatory. Sounds almost reminiscent of the main theme that you hear, the Ysaye theme. This keeps going on. It looks like this back and forth conversation going on between statements and replies. You know, you have the statement, and then here's the reply. Something's coming. A statement. Reply. Resolve. Then you have this amazing flurry and perpetual motion of a sixth variation that seems reminiscent still of the main theme you hear in the fifth variation. It ends the same way, which is really interesting. But one thing that I also find particularly interesting here, Ysaye does this in a lot of his compositions, it seems a little bit dissonant and out of place, which it's supposed to be, because the piece is haunting. It's like Bach is haunting the modern violinist as you play this piece. It's like Bach's ghost coming back to life. Oh my gosh. And we have this. In a little bit slower fashion, but the pattern is the same. 2, 4, 0, 1, 2, 4, 0, 1 on each string. Again. Here, 1, 4, 0, 2. Again. And then sounds like a reply. Then we have the final part. Resolve. And finally, we have the chorale, the revisiting of the theme, but this time it's not pizzicato, it's on the bow. interesting. He actually has a trill. He could have just done, but he makes a little bit of more flair to it. And the answer. Ending on the octave and leaving it open to interpretation. Does it end in major? Does it end in minor? I don't know. He leaves it very, very open. It's like the spirits went back to rest. This is some sense of finalization, like they fulfilled their purpose. All right, so that is a little bit on what makes the Dance of the Spirits from Ysaye Sonata No. 2 for the violin so great. It's all of these little details that are happening. You have this amazing theme that people have heard throughout movies, throughout shows, maybe even throughout other pieces like Masses and Requiems, paying homage to Celano from 1256. But then you have variations on it that represent these folk tunes that bring the spirits to life. It is indeed haunting, but at the same time, it's joyful. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.